Hello and welcome to The Scramble. I am Adrienne Lefebvre. Immigration is our hot topic today. We'll talk about how some of the fine print in immigration reform is being used politically and how some of the proposed reforms may infringe on privacy protections. If time allows, which we always run out of time here, we'll discuss President Obama's response to the ongoing problem of sexual assault within our military. Please welcome my panel. We have back with us Mark Ciavola. You are a junior in political science, and you are Still, I know. Next season, though, you'll be moving on up. A junior in political science, and you are the undergraduate student body president. Heather Feyerberger, welcome back from jury duty.
Yeah, that was fun.
You are a senior in journalism and media studies, and you have a minor in criminal justice.
Correct.
Cassidy Blue, you are a senior in broadcast journalism, switching it up, which is also journalism and media studies.
Yes.
And we need to get a minor for you because that
Film.
would be exciting. Film. Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Jenny Lees, you are a graduate student and you are pursuing your master's in journalism and media studies.
Yes.
Thank you all for being on the show, and let's jump right in. The current immigration legislation in the Senate calls for the Department of Homeland Security to expand its nationwide computer network. This network would house driver's license photos and other information of most Americans. Many people object to this because of privacy concerns and the potential that they see for this network to become a national ID system. Heather, I will start with you. Do you think that these concerns are justified, that this would infringe on privacy? Or do you think that this is a necessary provision for real reform?
I don't think it's a necessary provision for what they have now. I read the article about it, and I guess the current system is E-Verify. I've actually used E-Verify at a previous job, and I didn't see anything wrong with it. I really believe that expanding the program would make it harder for illegals to work in the U.S., but I don't think they're going to be using it purely to just tap into Americans' privacy. I don't think it'll cause any harm to Americans.
So you don't feel that it would be abused, that it actually does have a legitimate purpose?
Right, I do think it has a purpose. I don't think that they're using it to abuse privacy.
All right, Mark, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think the E-Verify system is necessary. We'll start there. I think that, look, I'm a Republican. Republican Party ended slavery once, but we have modern day slavery going on in America now, and nobody seems to want to do anything about it. We have a lot of undocumented people here who are working for $3 an hour in unsafe conditions. They can't report or they'll be deported. So I mean, something needs to be done to make sure that the people who are working here belong here, that they're on the books, that they're making minimum wage or above, and that they're not in unsafe conditions where they can't report. With that said, I think driver's licenses are government documents. I don't think there's an issue with the state government sharing driver's license information with the national government. I don't think there ever has been an issue with that. But I do think, given everything we've seen recently with the NSA and the IRS and all these other government agencies overstepping their bounds, that there need to be safeguards in there to protect the information.
So that it stays on point and works
Yes.
towards its purpose. Jenny?
Yeah, I'm really torn on this issue because at the one extent, its face value, it would also help, prevent identity theft, which is rampant. Right. And, I've even gotten something in my mail to let me know I should change all my stuff because
Mm-hmm.
somehow something of mine was found during some kind of arrest. So they're like, you're at risk. Great.
Oh, wow.
Right?
They didn't make you send you their stuff.
So I guess like the police had contacted me to let me know I needed to change a lot of my information.
And your locks.
No, that's always a good thing. But so something like things like that with identity theft, especially in Las Vegas. The economy has been hit really hard, and something that's kind of strange to see is there's a lot of people rummaging in dumpsters and whatnot, and some of that may be finding products or whatnot to help compensate or whatever, but another part of that may also be filtering through people's bills, thrown away stuff that they haven't actually shredded, and sell that in identity theft. Orchestrate that, and that's a part of when you're illegal. That's a way to get a legal status is to use an illegal identity. At the same time, with the recent NSA stuff, I'm not really sure how this is going to pan out. Obviously, if it's used properly, I don't have an issue. But then there's is it really going to be used properly? And I get a lot of different emails from Republican parties, even the Tea Party, and even like Ron Paul emails, and specifically on this issue, he's very concerned that in overreach. So he's very outspoken about this, and this being a major issue.
Huge concern right now. Cassidy, what do you think? Is this?
Well, I don't think the question really is, will it be used properly? I think the question is it necessary? And I have to tend to agree with Mark that our current system that we have.
What just happened on the show? I
mean, I would have to agree that the current system that we have is working fine, and that we don't need any extra government involvement, any extra centralized government, taking control of our information. I just don't see the need for it. And so regardless of will it be used properly or will it not be used properly, I just don't see it being a necessity.
Do you feel, though, because there is a lot of news, I think it just broke recently this week, that the employees at the 7-Eleven, they just cracked down some Pakistanis that they were paying $3 an hour, making them work 100 hours a week.
I think we have to improve the existing measures that we have in our laws that are there to prevent these things from happening. I think
in reality,
that's what
against
we need
the
to
law
do.
already.
That's what I'm saying. I think we need to
problem
improve
is-
how we enforce the laws that we have.
But the problem is that part of the political discourse on this issue is that if you think people shouldn't be working here while they're undocumented, you're a racist. And so long as people are afraid to take that stand and say, look, if you are not here legally, you should not be working, that's looked upon as being racist and inhumane. But the reality is these people are working for slave wages. They are working in unsafe conditions. And if fixing that problem means they have to go back to their home country, which is not always Mexico, by the way, then so be it.
But I don't think
we
that
should
that's
not
the
be
issue
tolerating
either.
that here in
I don't
this
think
country,
that
period.
that's what needs to be done either, is to send all these people back to where they came from. I think that there has to be something that we can do. I mean, like you said, they are working for
But
slave
that's why
wages.
there's pending
but-
legislation so that you can put
exactly.
people on a path to legal status, not necessarily a path to citizenship or short-term citizenship, but a path to legal status so that you can get work visas for these people and they can work on the books. But refusing to crack down on businesses because you don't want to deport an undocumented worker is absolutely insane.
Ladies, what do you
I actually think what Jenny mentioned earlier brings up a good point about the identity theft. I actually never thought about that, whereas if everyone's driver's license and personal information is in one large system, they really need to make that safe. Someone could hack into that and get everyone's identities and everyone's driver's license pictures, and I mean that's something that they would really have to control also.
So you see the possibility for abuse.
Yeah,
And the danger of that.
there is.
All right, we are going to, and it'll be interesting to find what kind of workaround can be found for these people, because I know a lot of immigrants feel that they're going to be criminalized if they come forward at this point while all these pending reforms are on the table, and that's a difficult situation to be in. When we come back, we're going to stay on topic, switch it up a little bit, and talk a little bit about how the Affordable Health Care Act is now being used in immigration reform. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
For others, it may have just been a summer job. But for me, it was training. Now I'm an Air Force pararescueman, and my job is to save lives. Make the right choices today, and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Think you found every hazard out here today? Think again. The spot you missed could be a killer. That spot on your skin could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills one person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Republicans have tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare more than 30 times. Most of these efforts have been purely symbolic, considering the Democratic-controlled Senate. But now it seems to some that Republicans are using Obamacare to influence immigration reform by calling for measures that would, quote, deny publicly subsidized emergency care to undocumented immigrants. Cassidy, I will start with you on this one. Should undocumented people have access to these public subsidies?
Well,
tough one, right?
I don't think that our laws in this country necessarily afford them this, I don't think that they afford them this provision. But at the same time, I think that humanitarily we have to take a step back and look at this. Now, they are not afforded the same subsidies under the Affordable Care Act as citizens are, but they are afforded due process. And under due process, that means that they have to be treated for emergency medical care. Women who are pregnant have to be treated. I mean, anybody who has a life-threatening or serious condition has to be treated. So I think that more than just the humanitarian side of we have to, treat sick people who are within our borders, regardless of their legal status, we have to look at this as it also affects the overall price of emergency care, because the majority of illegals or undocumented immigrants are obviously using the emergency care system. So if we take them out of that position of having to use it, allow them to purchase their own care, then we won't be paying for their Medicaid emergency bills that they accrue. Not only that, but it has significant public health implications as well. I mean, specifically in communicable disease. I mean, so when we're not treating an entire group of disadvantaged population in our country, I mean, that definitely has an effect on the rest of us who are here legally. So I think that they definitely should be afforded. I think it works in our best interest.
Something needs to be done, certainly for emergency care.
Yeah, definitely.
Mark?
There is no answer for this in a 4-minute segment. The reality is we have a group of people who are here illegally, so they shouldn't be here in the first place. Then you have a law that was passed back in 1986 that says the emergency room has to treat you, right? So should they be treated? Well, obviously we're not going to say, no, we shouldn't treat you. Some people could say they should stabilize you and then report you so you can go back where you came from. The problem with that is that nobody's going to go to the hospital if they're going to get deported. So now you have people dying because they won't get treated. So there is no answer to this. The answer to this is to fix the immigration system and force the laws on the books so that the hospital that undocumented immigrants are going to is the one in their home country. Then we won't have that problem here. But until that happens, I mean, we're just stuck in this holding pattern until we are able to rectify the issue as a whole.
And all of these proposed...
But I will say this. Everything that the House Republicans have done has been symbolic, because the Democratic-controlled do-nothing Senate won't pass jobs bills. They won't pass anything that comes out of the House, and that's unfortunate.
Well, that aside, because that's not actually specific
Very
to the
significant.
topic.
Yes, it is.
But the fact of the matter is that if we don't,
to you in a minute.
that Affordable Care Act is in action. I mean, it's already it's already a law. So yes, we need to fix the immigration system, and yes, we need to allow these 11 million undocumented immigrants that are here, provisions to work, visas, those kinds of things. But
Unless they're criminals.
But I agree with you there. But the fact of the matter is that Affordable Care Act is already here, so we have to. The
Affordable Care Act is collapsing under its own weight.
We have to
really,
fix this issue.
Our own
along
government
with
has said it's
immigration.
not sustainable. It's collapsing under its own weight.
It's here. The Supreme Court.
It is collapsing.
The Supreme Court
but
said
it
that it
can't
was
function if it
constitutional.
can't afford to function.
It may have to change to function, but
we may have to pass another $1 trillion bill to fix it.
Hypothetically, anything can happen. But what
it'll
I'm saying
also
is that
be
Affordable Care Act is
because
here,
the
and the
do-nothing
immigrants
Senate won't pass it.
My friends.
Hmm?
My friends.
Yes.
We're already out of time in this segment. When we come back, I'm going to let you guys argue during break. When we come back, Jenny and Heather, you're going to have to weigh in on this one. I'll remind you the original question. On the other side.
If you could see anything in the world, what would it be?
I'd love to see Paris.
I like to see cupcakes falling from the sky.
My daughter, married and happy.
I want to see things the way I used to.
Chances are, someone you love may one day be affected by macular degeneration or glaucoma. Log on to seeabettertomorrow.org or call 1-800-437-2423 to learn about glaucoma and macular degeneration. Call 1-800-437-2423 or log on to seeabettertomorrow.org.
I just want to see more of the things I love.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Welcome back. Mark and Cassidy didn't quite hug it out during the break, but we're going to ask the ladies now. We're talking about denying publicly subsidized emergency care to undocumented immigrants. Do you think that they should have access to these subsidies for emergency care? Jenny?
This is such a tough topic. It's really hard because I'm really torn on this, and with the Affordable Care Act, I'd really need to look in more. How much is it? So we're saying it's going to be less than the average
system
citizens.
that it is, right?
Yeah. But at the same time, I don't like how much that is, and also by having that in there, does it encourage more illegal immigrants to come in, knowing that they're going to have health care?
Georgetown actually did a study about that, and they actually said that the majority, and an overwhelming majority of immigrants that come to this country, illegally or not illegally, are for jobs. So I think that the real concern about fixing illegal immigration is not health care is going to be the reason that gets them there. I mean, they're here they want to work, that's why they're here. So I don't think that it's going to encourage
But
more.
anything we do that attracts more is obviously
has that
to
potential.
the problem.
But the driving force
the
of
amnesty
people
back in
coming here.
'86 made it more.
I'm nervous about incentivizing.
The driving force is jobs.
Right, and I think that is a concern. And maybe Mark and Cassidy said it best when there's really no way to kind of resolve this issue right now. Heather, weigh in on this.
I'm actually also very torn on the subject. I do think things should stay as they are, but I also don't think that I read that once becoming documented, they shouldn't have to wait longer for the benefits that the rest of us get.
Right, that they would have to wait another extra 2 years.
Correct. I don't think that that's right, but I also don't believe that they deserve the same benefits that the rest of us get. So I'm very torn on the issue.
Without going through the due process. Okay, you guys can go back at it now. I stopped them during the break, but
No, I mean, in response to that, I think that if we don't offer it to them, I think that it will be more hurting us. I mean, more cutting off our own nose to spite our face. Yes, we don't want to give people incentives for coming over here illegally, and yes, we don't want to afford people who are here, undocumented immigrants, the same rights that American citizens have. But
or legal immigrants.
But at the same time, yes. But at the same time, we are, like I said, cutting off our nose to spite our face. If it's going to increase our costs in Medicaid and emergency Medicaid, if it's going to increase the problems within our public health, then I think that these are, humanitarian issues aside, I mean, how you feel morally aside, I think that it only benefits us to offer these provisions to undocumented immigrants.
I really see a cost analysis on the variations and what is going to be more expensive in the long run.
See, with all due respect, I don't think that's the problem. I think the answer is no. It just can't be no until we have provided a solution to the immigration problem in general. And so talking about cost analysis or what it'll mean for our public health or whatever, I think you have to fix the immigration system. You have to figure out how we're going to deal with the illegal immigrants who are here today. And then once that's done, and this is why, once that's done, there's no more illegal immigration.
Are you guys all on board as far as believing that this is not just simply politicking by the Republicans on immigration reform? That this is something
Well, it's a real problem.
Yeah.
It's a real problem that a lot of people are afraid to address because they'll be called racists.
I don't know about that.
Please then do me a favor
Well,
and see the school paper, the Rebel Yell, When I was called a racist,
I'm not calling you a racist
for
right
following
now
the law.
for your
Thank you.
opinion. I'm just saying that as far as we are concerned, it's in our best interest as Americans to do this. And morally, yes, I do think that if you don't want to afford certain people in your borders emergency medical attention, I do think you're morally remiss. Not you specifically, but a person who doesn't want to afford them that.
Emergency coverage. You can provide because there's a law where you have to provide the emergency coverage, but you have to fix this issue as a whole.
Yeah, that I definitely agree with you.
I'm very sorry. I don't know how that always happens. Stay with us when we come back. We'll switch gears and talk about President Obama.
At what age is the color that your skin was meant to be no longer beautiful? Every year, millions of young women try to change the skin they were born with and say they'd die for darker skin. Sadly, some actually do. Melanoma is the second most common cancer in teens and young adults 15 to 29. And one person dies from melanoma every hour. It's time. Change your thinking, not your skin. Stop tanning. Learn more at spotskincancer.org. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Winston, just one more inning, Grandma.
Ever notice how many things today kids can do without actually moving? A whole lot of things their parents used to do the hard way. So many kids' activities today seem to leave out the activity part, which makes exercise even more important for children. In fact, new research tells us the best time to enhance bone development is during childhood and adolescence. And just getting children to walk an extra 35 minutes a day could spare them the pain of thinning bones later in life. Healthy bones come from healthy habits. Encourage your kids to get up, get out, and get moving.
Hello. Hey, Grandma, how about another grape soda?
A public service message on building strong bones for kids from the Pediatric Orthopedic Society of North America and the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
In May, Obama said he had no tolerance for sexual assault in the military. Quote, I expect consequences. I don't just want more speeches or awareness programs or training. If we find out someone is engaging in this, they have got to be held accountable, prosecuted, stripped of their positions, court-martialed, fired, dishonorably discharged, period, end quote. A Navy judge recently ruled that these comments by the president exerted, quote, unlawful command influence. Judge Commander Marcus Fulton said this statement could affect the sentencing in 2 current cases. Mark, I will start with you on this. Do you think Obama's response to this problem in the military is appropriate, or do you think that he has abused this command influence that they speak of?
I think it's amazing that for the first time in a long time, the president and I agree on something.
Wow, so we had you and Cassie agree.
I got to explain, though. Yeah, we agree because I, too, am tired of the speeches, and I, too, would like to see his administration held accountable and fired. But what he's asking for... I want to point out the hypocrisy of the president asking for something he's not willing to do in his own administration. But with that said, I am not an expert on the military. I cannot tell you as Commander-in-Chief if he is not entitled to voice his opinion on these things. What I will say is that the president has made a habit of getting involved in a lot of issues prematurely and saying things that may have been not appropriate. And if this does affect sentencing, much like he got involved in that police issue in Boston and some other things before he necessarily knows all the facts, and I'm sure he has the facts on this, but it is a big problem. It needs to be addressed. I can't speak to whether it affects the sentencing. I can tell you that Congressman Joe Heck from right here in Nevada put forward the amendment that is in NDAA that actually implements the no tolerance policy for sexual assaults in the military. So that at least is a local connection.
For no tolerance. Heather, you have to weigh in on this. We're always running out.
I was going to say, I think President Obama has every right to express his opinion. Yes, he's commander-in-chief, but he's also human. So he believes that one should be punished for such harsh wrongdoings.
So he's in trouble.
I think it's important to, really emphasize this issue and talk about it. And I'm behind President Obama in his statements that he made, especially since this is something that has been swept under the rug for such a long time. So
I have to agree with both of you guys. I think that I think. Also, I don't have the expertise on the military, as many do, but I would think that as commander-in-chief, you would have a right, not only a right, but an obligation to those victims and to, our entire military to come out on this issue, to talk about this issue, to express, a firm position that it's not okay, because it's not only affecting those victims, but it's a reflection of our entire military.
He is obligated.
He's obligated, I think.
He is obligated
I
to
do.
take a stance.
But it isn't just that
We're out of
simple.
time. Stay with us. When we come back, I have a small Scramble announcement.
What you doing, Dad?
My favorite thing,
Really, Dad, what are you doing?
paying bills. Every month a stack of them come, just as regular as the rain.
What's this one?
That's a special one, son. I pay it first.
How come?
It's money for my retirement account. I put some money aside each month just like I was paying a bill.
Wouldn't you rather buy something?
I don't want to work forever, and I don't want you to have to support me in my old age. In a way, I'm buying peace of mind. I'm on the installment plan.
Something's not right.
My first symptoms were
constant tingling in my toes.
my legs, sometimes they'll go numb.
I had double vision. They said you have multiple sclerosis.
Well, the beginning is the hardest time.
Kind of had to get a grasp on reality.
I had to adapt and change very rapidly.
I had to learn how to drive with my hands. Yeah, that was interesting.
I was a dancer. I don't see walking the way I walk any different than doing a dance. It just looks different. It's a different dance.
You see me have an off day, it doesn't take away from who I am.
A symptom may cause you not to be able to do that anymore. And at one point, I wasn't able to do any of those.
But I would exercise every day.
Since I've been cycling, it's definitely helped my walking.
To make a lot of changes in my life and just adapt to it.
I'm going to acknowledge its presence. I'm not going to discount it, but at the same time, I'm going to try my best to not let it stop me.
It's a fantastic opportunity to be working together with a common goal of curing MS, and sharing is the key.
All right, I would like to commandeer the last few moments of the show to say goodbye. The time has come for me to move on, but I cannot leave without sharing my heartfelt gratitude for a couple things. First, the Scramble crew who's here every week, all of the people behind the hot lights and the cameras in the control room, to these panelists who so passionately bring it every week to the discussion. Don't cry, Mark. To all of you watching, it means a lot to all of us, and especially to those that really make this possible, the incredible staff here at UNLV TV. It's been an unparalleled learning experience for me, and I've truly enjoyed being a part of these moments. So I'm happy to say that the Scramble will return in the fall semester, and I can't wait to tune in to see what everyone is scrambling about. Until then, please continue to share your comments at thescramble.unlv@gmail.com. Until then, and for one more time, for all of us here at The Scramble, thank you so much for joining us. Come back in September, and wish you a very happy summer.